All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on this beautiful spring day in Wisconsin. Mike said coming in that you want to hear a great April Fool's joke, springtime in Wisconsin. So he thought he was very clever and funny with that, but very, very good for today, where it gives us a 70-degree day that we get all excited about for spring and then a nice, cool, cloudy day. So that's Wisconsin. Expect the unexpected, which then I guess is expected every single year around this time. So we have a lot of very exciting things to walk through with you guys here today, a topic that we're extremely passionate about, just the power of organization and simplifying your financial life. And we have a lot of great ideas here for you. It's something that we could talk about in much more detail offline, specific to your scenario, but just have a few general things. We might have talked through a lot of these with you already, so it might be a review, but it's always good to bring these type of thoughts front and center for us. So just starting out, like always, we just begin in gratitude. And for me, grateful for a lot of different things, but specifically yesterday, I had to unfortunately go kind of near my hometown for a funeral. But on my way back, we always talk about gratitude and expressing appreciation to people in our lives that had a profound impact on us. And one of those people for me was my gym teacher growing up. He was an amazing football coach, amazing teacher. And specifically for me, I had two shoulder surgeries in high school and always had to train to get back into shape to be ready for basketball, be ready for the other sports that I was in. And he would write me passes during study hall so I could work out during class, during school, not take away after hours. And then in the summertime, he had me over to his house and trained me almost every single day for a summer. So he gave me the love for fitness, the idea of, sacrifice and suffering and discipline. And I'm extremely grateful for him. His birthday is near mine, so I was calling him every, April 28th every year to wish him a happy birthday and how much he meant to me. In the last 5 years, I couldn't get a hold of him. He changed his number. So I was like, he can't get away from me this time. So yesterday on my way home, I stopped at his house and I had an amazing conversation with him and his wife for 2.5 hours. And at the end, he just thanked me so much and said, I oftentimes forget of the impact of the 25, 30 years that I was a teacher and just really appreciated you stopping in. So it was just an amazing moment, a very fun time, and just a great reminder of if there's somebody that you're grateful for in your past that had a profound impact on you, just reach out to him, shoot him a text, give him a call, stop in, and I promise it'll be a great scenario for both of you. So for me, that's my gratitude. How about yourself, Mike?
Thanks, Zach. And I did want to clarify that April Fool's joke I made this morning was a confirmation of how smart and witty I am, not an assumption. So just want to put that out there. Just as deep as you, Zach, I'm incredibly grateful for Facebook Marketplace. Yesterday, I found a beautiful set of brand new floor mats, and it really spruced up the 2018 Kia that my wife owns, and we're incredibly excited about those things. I think Facebook Marketplace, in all seriousness, I think it is a wonderful place to be able to buy things that somebody else would be just donating or making a decision, and it directly connects you to exactly what you're looking for. It's not a scavenger hunt. It's not this. It's not that, and it's at premium prices. And I was fortunate that this gentleman who was selling them, he was a very nice guy, and he told me the story of why he had them, all this different stuff, and they've just been crowding his closet. And so he feels so good about the fact that he found somebody who's going to immediately use these. I quite literally put them in the car as I got them. And it was just kind of like a nice little interaction. I don't know. So the connection that creates just ever so slightly, and to be able to allow somebody else's, their junk at the end of the day to be a treasure somewhere else. And of course, the exchange of money in the process. I appreciate Facebook Marketplace for how it allows that to happen. Thanks, Zach.
Thank you, Mike. And in typical Mike fashion, I think Mike is one of the few people I know that would drive an hour and a half, 2 hours to get those floor mats. So very, very impressive there as well. How about yourself, Ben?
Thanks, Zach. What I'm grateful for today is actually team members here at Gentian. I've been able to work with a lot of different people. I'm going to specifically call Angie yesterday, working with me, learning some new skills, and taking time out of her day to teach me some stuff. So I'm really grateful for our team here at Gentian.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Really appreciate it. We're grateful for you, our Chief Cultural Officer. That's always bringing the energy every single day. How about yourself, Michael?
Thank you, Zach. Grateful to be a part of a team that's learning and improving and getting better every day. I just see it so much in all the team members here. I mean, I think that we have an opportunity to help some people make some pretty meaningful decisions with their lives, and it's not a role that we take lightly necessarily here. So just grateful for that perspective today.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. How about yourself, Julie?
Thanks, Ken. Ken, thanks, Zach. I am actually grateful for the change of seasons that we get to experience here in Wisconsin. I know it feels a bit like winter today, but it is spring. I just enjoy seeing the flowers popping up out of the earth and the birds chirping, and it just means we're one step closer to summer. So just enjoy that.
Thank you, Julie. Really appreciate it. And kind of diving in here, we'll just go through markets just briefly because it's top of mind. We just want to share these and keep a consistent rhythm with these with you. So I'll jump into markets a little bit where they're at for the year, a few learnings and good validation of some of our timeless principles, and then we'll kind of get into the power of organization. So just one thing, yesterday was a great reminder. If you saw it, maybe you're not watching the news and following the guidance from us there, but it was one of the better days of the year, better one-day returns for the market. And it's a great reminder that oftentimes the best days quickly follow the worst days, right? So when we look at the last 20 years, the best 10 days of the market, 9 of them either occurred in 2008 and 2009 during the global financial crisis or during COVID. There was one outlier of the best one-day returns that occurred in 2025, in April of 2025. If we recall 1 year ago, it was all the uncertainty around tariffs, and it was a announcement that there was a 90-day pause and the market went up 9.5% in one day. Then kind of taking a look at the 10 worst days and looking when they fell, all of them except for one also occurred in 2008 and 2009 and also in 2020. So the best days quickly come after the worst days. And it's just a reminder to stay invested, keep plan focused, because we don't know when those best days are going to occur, but we need to partake in those. And the best days almost always occur during peak fear. It's not when things look better or something that, oh my gosh, everything's going to turn a corner. Almost all of the best days in 2020 were still in March, still an extreme high uncertainty of what the world's going to look like for us, all the fears around our own mortality and health, what work is going to look like. None of those questions were answered at that time, yet the best market return days occurred during that time. So it's a great reminder. It's not saying that we're not going to have a correction here moving forward. We certainly will. We just don't know when or how steep or how long it's going to last. But those best days quickly follow the worst days, and just a great reminder. So if we're looking at just where things are at for the year, the Dow Jones is just temporarily down about 3.5% to start the year. The S&P just a little bit over 4.5%. The NASDAQ, which is heavily weighted towards technology, around 7% temporarily down. The Russell 2000 actually is positive on the year, the one main indice that's actually positive at about 0.5%. International down about 2% on the year, in emerging markets about 0.5%. So it just stresses the importance once again of diversification and rebalancing as well, because technology has really carried things the last 3 years, especially in the artificial intelligence space, whether it's the enablers of AI or data centers or the energy behind it. And those have really struggled to start the year. So just shows the importance of diversification for an overall plan, especially when we're producing income in retirement. So with that, Mike, how about from yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Zach. And so, in the spirit of today's conversation, what we're talking about is organizing our financial lives at the end of the day. And a lot of the benefit of what I'm going to speak on right now is why all of you work with us. But to anybody who might be viewing this on YouTube after the fact, 2 weeks from now when it gets posted, things like that, there's going to be a few great concepts that I want to be considered. And it's also, to you who are watching right now, a great reminder of some of the things that we're doing behind the scenes and how we think of it. And so all of this is going to pertain to specific strategies, and it's to accomplish your financial goals at the end of the day. But there's 3 things that I'm going to touch on. It's going to be asset allocation, diversification in that sense, asset location, the type of accounts where certain types of assets are owned, and then just the benefit of consolidation at the end of the day. And all of this is a type of organization for our financial strategies. And as we go through life and we start to acquire all these 401ks that are out there, and we make some savings in certain places, and we want to start contributing to a grandkid's future education, but you also want them to be able to access that money to potentially buy a home. And then what about, this opportunity that we have in something called a Roth IRA that we didn't know about early on when we first started saving? Suddenly this soup gets just that, very soupy. Let's get it organized to talk about the ingredients inside. So the importance about asset allocation and diversification itself is that it's very easy to become over diversified. And what that means is that we've bought too many different investments. You might have very small pieces of the overall puzzle that aren't actually making a difference when it comes to return. On the flip side of that, we want to be organized because we might have very large positions of an appreciated security. Maybe we were diversified, but something grew over time, and now we're taking on too much risk because that one security could depreciate quickly in the short term, especially if that's an individual stock. And we see that happen often, especially with companies who allow employees to purchase stock throughout their working lives, things like that, where now all of a sudden it's done great things for you, but now we're taking on a lot of risk to accomplish our goals long term. So paying attention to that diversification piece is very important to stay organized. Number two is that asset location. So what we own is sometimes better to be held in different types of accounts. So a Roth IRA is going to be one of the largest benefits long term when it comes to retirement savings, because of the fact of the matter being that that asset is completely tax free for the rest of our lives. And with that being said, sometimes we want to be a little bit more aggressive with that, because not only if we're a younger earner, do we have until we're 59 and a half before we can get the growth out of that asset without having a penalty associated with it. We have time then to be more aggressive with it. But at that same point, we can own assets that might have more growth but be less tax efficient. Some very aggressive mutual funds pay some very significant capital gains over the course of your ownership of that fund. You don't have to worry about any of that in a Roth IRA, and you can really benefit about a manager who's making a lot of decisions. On the flip side, maybe your taxable accounts, we want to be a little bit more tax efficient depending on what we own, where we trade certain things. It's all about where we own the assets sometimes and how we can optimize a financial strategy, especially given when we might need to take that money out. So something to consider there is being organized with the asset location. And then finally, consolidation. This comes back to that overall expenditure that now we might have all of these different 401ks that are out there, all of these different accounts that might be in different places. We might have multiple savings, multiple checking accounts, credit cards that are out there, all sorts of different things to consider that we want to maybe have that under one roof so that we can make sure that we grasp everything. Now, in the spirit of Easter, some people have told us, some clients, some individuals have said, I don't want all my eggs in one basket. Well, if all of the eggs are in the exact same thing, depending on it just in different baskets, we're not accomplishing anything at the end of the day. So with the way that current insurances are broken out with banking, with the SPIC or SPI or SIPC, whichever way that goes, the insurance that exists out there and the way that the federal government comes in to back certain things, it's not that mindset that it was previously. And so to be able to have one consolidated place where there's an advisor who can help implement a strategy, make decisions on that, the ability to allow them to do so will eliminate most fees associated with it because of the benefit that you receive from us being able to take care of everything. And it's wonderful being in this profession because we pretty much eliminate our costs from the picture and allow you to just reap the benefits of the upside beyond that. So, all right, Zach, I think I covered what I want to. Back to you, man.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. I really appreciate it. It's such a great point, and really the blessing of helping our team, helping people retire over the last 30 years through full market cycles. Because some of the things that Mike mentioned, when everything is great, markets have an extremely good 3-year time period, like 2020, end of 2022 to 2025, right? Some of those things you can kind of hide from being a benefit, but it's through really tough times that those things are the most important for the financial planning piece of being able to see conversions, to be able to call an accountant, have a specific plan before that call occurs versus having to be like, wait, we need a statement from that other place first to see if that actually makes sense. There might be a better asset in there, where when we can see inside of all of those accounts, we can be ready to help people during really tough times much quicker and to much greater capacity. So I really appreciate that, Mike. And kind of following that, how about yourself, Michael?
Thank you, Zach. I think when we talk about organization and simplification, sometimes it's not necessarily a lack of knowledge, it's just a lack of clarity when people think about their finances. So when we'll run into some clients, talk to some people sometimes that have a very, very large retirement plan or 401k savings, but they haven't saved a whole lot of money outside of that plan. And my response typically to that is that's a product of automation. So throughout your career, you set your 401k percentage that you want to defer from your paychecks. And some historically it was more common, but we see some people that work for companies for 30 to 40 years. So a significant balance is built up over time in their retirement savings. But when we look at some other opportunities for that, can we automate some other areas of our life? So mention your 401k. If we're doing IRA contributions, can we set that up and automate? If we're having a hard time actually moving money into our savings or savings account, let's automate some of those transfers as our paychecks come in. Another really simple thing to do with some of your investment accounts is just link your bank account to there. So in the future, you're able to move money between the two accounts back and forth. And again, you can set up automation by using your bank accounts. Another one that goes along with that is bill pay, which is a very, very common thing nowadays, but just making sure we're avoiding any late fees or penalties that come along with those missed payments. Shifting gears a little bit, when it comes to organization, making sure that everything that you have set up as far as your accounts go is aligned with your estate plan. So number one piece that goes along with this is beneficiary titling. So making sure that you have those people named on your accounts as beneficiaries if something were to happen to you. Another piece that goes along with this is creating a document that maps out where all of your accounts are and who those key contact people are with those accounts. So again, if anything were to happen to you, somebody can step in and really take ownership and have an easy time really sorting things out. Another piece to mention along with this is letting your heirs know your wishes. So when it comes to end of life decisions, it's not a very fun conversation to have. We're seeing research that the baby boomer generation is actually having a difficult time having this conversation. So there's a good amount of resources that are out there. Mike mentioned one, I believe it's havetheconversation.org. I'll let him chime in if that is incorrect, but it is a great, great resource if you are looking to have that conversation with your children or your heirs, whoever is inheriting your assets. So just something I wanted to point out as far as simplifying an organization today. And back to you, Zach.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Really appreciate it. And I love all of those, and especially I think a great point that you made was not only establishing the estate plan, but carrying through the recommendations from your attorney of how those accounts should be titled. We've been blessed to see great scenarios when heaven forbid something occurs where it's very simple, everything's labeled correctly, and within a couple of months everything is retitled to the new accounts in either the spouse's name or kid's name. But we've also had the misfortune of seeing really unfortunate scenarios, and I remember one that really sticks out to me over time where somebody created the estate plan, went through the whole process, paid for it, and got just to the finish line, didn't sign the document at the end, passed away, and it's been in probate for 2.5 years for the beneficiaries now. So had everything exactly the way I wanted. There was also a remarriage in there, and with the state laws where he lived at the time, because that document wasn't signed, there was contention between the kids where the document would have been to them versus, to the new spouse, if you will. So it's just a great reminder that not only go through the steps of creating the process, but then work with us, work with your other accounts to make sure they're aligned exactly the way they're supposed to. So have a lot more that we could share there, but Ben really wanted to share some ideas for how to utilize Raymond James Vault here to simplify your scenario.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Yeah, we have, as we're talking about organization, it's obviously very, very important to keep your documents organized physically at home. But also, as Zach mentioned, we have a wonderful tool here at Raymond James that you all have access to. and it's called the Vault. So when you log into your client access, at the top, there's going to be that nice big blue banner. And the third option there is going to be called the Vault. What is that? The Vault is a place where actually you can upload any sort of document that's there, and it's going to be stored safely and, more importantly, securely for your protection. So you can have access to estate plans, beneficiary lists, whatever it might be, insurance policies, whatever it might be that's, hey, this is really, really important for my overall plan. I need to keep this organized in case something were to happen. It's a nice location that you can store it, again, safe and secure, but also you can access it anywhere you have access to an internet device. A great example of this is we actually had a client who had needed a POA, has one, was in another state, required to need it, but was like, oh, I can't show the documents to access this. They fortunately had actually uploaded the POA to their vault. And so from their phone, they were able to pull up their phone, show, hey, this is the POA document right here, and was able to get the help that they needed in a very tough, difficult situation. So that's just one simple example of using that and a real live example of it. There's plenty of other options to it as well. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask one of your advisors. We'd be happy to show you more about the vault and how it can benefit you guys as clients. Zach, back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. And to Ben's point, we're all here to help you with those. That sometimes either scanning documents or uploading those can be confusing on how to do that. And our entire team is here to support you if you have questions with that. And one thing that's come up recently had the good fortune to pay respects at quite a few funerals recently, and the unfortunate side of saying goodbye. And something that has come up at almost every one of them is not only the big documents that we're talking about, like wills, trusts, beneficiaries of accounts, but also things that sometimes get overlooked, like the title of a vehicle. I had a scenario with my uncle passing away recently and the executor not being able to locate the title for the vehicle, and just extra steps to go through, and things of where credit cards are, or had a scenario where a spouse passed away recently and had his own credit cards that the wife actually didn't know about, and had to track those down. And it was linked to a bank account that they don't even really use anymore. And it was just a very messy process during an already tough grieving time. So not only the big documents, but also kind of the smaller ones, but actually carry a lot of weight as well. And to Michael's point, on the life side of things as well, with conversing with beneficiaries or executors or trustees. One thing that we love doing here, and we've done with some of you already, is that we facilitated a family meeting. It's something that we love being part of that process, to steer questions. Sometimes we're just there to listen and to help clarify, and you guys run it. But we've had the fortunate side of not only on the financial side to help guide, but also then on the life side. What do we want life together to look like from here as a family? And those are some of our favorite conversations to have. I have a bunch of other things that I could add, but before I do, Mike, Ben, Michael, anything that you'd else like to share as well?
Yeah, Zach, I'll jump back in because Michael spoke a little bit about a website that you can reference to help kind of facilitate these conversations. And before I get into that, I want to just mention one other thing. You talk about all these important documents, things like that. A reminder to all the parents, all the grandparents who might be watching. It might not be, a kid's favorite gift, but a fire safe is such a good thing to have. I mean, we legitimately, Sabrina and I use the fire safe that she was gifted as a kid to keep all of these important documents in. We know exactly where that is. And we have the information for getting into it. Now thinking about it, I should probably put that somewhere where everybody, if something were to happen to both of us, can get to those documents, right? So it's funny how this even opens up my own mind and things that I could be a little bit more organized on. But anyways, coming back to what Michael mentioned, so there's a website called theconversationproject.org. And what that website actually does is it gives you a starter guide. It gives you information about choosing a healthcare proxy. That's going to be that medical power of attorney that can help you, that can allow to make decisions in certain ways. But then how to introduce that concept that you're actually going to choose this person to be so. Sometimes that might feel obvious when it gets later in life, or or if we don't have a spouse, whatever we're looking at there, sometimes these decisions have to be made. And then that conversation can be potentially awkward to introduce this concept to somebody and then to actually articulate your wants, wills, and wishes in that regard. So, and at the end of the day, if you use some of these tools and have that conversation, you empower that person who has to have that conversation when they might be in a room full of relatives who might feel a certain way about your wish to go a certain way or to not go a certain way if you're ever incapacitated. You give them the power to say, I had this conversation with you regarding this, and so this is their wishes in this moment, right? And so to be able to give them that, not just making it seem like they're making the decision for you, but it is the articulation of your wish. I think that this website is something that gives a lot of tools to just read a little bit more about how you can articulate that if it gets you over the hump. A lot of our clients are very comfortable having these conversations. Others, this is a great resource for you. So that's the conversationproject.org. It was one in which I was sitting in a meeting with an estate planner and the clients, and this came from the estate planner themselves as being a great resource. So something that we just wanted to put out there and bring. And we have a ton of our own information on our website. We're building something called the Gentian Navigator series out there, which has some more reference points for some of these things as well. So stay tuned for a lot of that. Some of it's already available. Anyways, thanks, Zach.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Really appreciate it. When you talk about storing physical documents, a company or a brand that we've looked at recently that helps organize some of those, Knockbox, Knockbox. So just one that we've seen in the past help organize some of those. Just a reminder with those, if you update your estate plan, make sure to update those documents at the same time as well. So use it in tandem with the vault and other ways. And before I close here today, would love to have Julie just share what to be aware of here at Gentian coming up.
Yes, thank you, Zach. Got it right this time. So yeah, just a few things happening here in April. Starting Friday, the office and the markets will be closed in observance of Good Friday. And then, of course, Sunday is Easter. So we wish everyone a very happy Easter as you celebrate with family and friends. Next week, Wednesday, April 8th, is our next health and wellness webinar with Michelle Norris. So she's going to teach us how to eat the rainbow and get more color into every meal. So make sure to register for that. That starts at 9 o'clock. Our next biweekly podcast is Wednesday, April 15th, and very timely topic of what your tax return is trying to tell you. So that also begins at 9 a.m. Our next April birthday club is Wednesday, April 22nd. So make sure to RSVP for that if you do have a birthday in April. Or if you weren't able to join us in March or can't in May, you're always welcome as well. So, and then just to look ahead a little bit, save the date for our Shred and Eat Outside Day at the Doty Family Farm is going to be September 16th from 11 to 2. So we'd love to see everyone there. We have a great time conversing with the clients, and they get to dispose of a lot of their shred events and electronics. So hopefully you can join us for that. So that's what's happening. Oh, one more thing is make sure to check out at the end of each bulletin is a Q&A from Michelle. She has a lot of good tips and a lot of good weekly recipes that she shares. So a lot of good information at the bottom of the weekly bulletin. So check those out. So thanks, Zach.
Yeah, you bet, Julie. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I don't want to steal Michelle's thunder, but I highly doubt that Eat the Rainbow has anything to do with Skittles, even though when you said that, I felt like the urge to have some Skittles, even though I haven't them in 10 years, haven't had Skittles in like 10 years. So that's extremely good marketing on Skittles end. But to Julie's point as well, with the tax conversation that's coming up for the next webinar, if you've received your tax returns back from your accountant already this year, we love to see those, and those help us plan for the rest of the year. So either bring them with you to your next meeting. Even better would be to upload those to the Raymond James Vault and then shoot us an email that you did that. That's extremely helpful for us and to be proactive with it so we can start working on those behind the scenes even before our next meeting together. So really in closing here, when we talk about simplifying your financial scenario, one massive piece of your estate plan that we want there to be for you as well is to simply call Gentian. If something happens to you, happens to a loved one, call us. Our commitment to you is to be here for you and your family through all of life's journey. It's transitions of all the good times and the difficult times. And we love that responsibility. And it's an honor to have your trust to be the guides for you on your life's journey so you can live your most meaningful and joyful life. And really just wanted to thank you as well for the introductions as of late from your family members, from your loved ones. It's an honor to serve you, and it's truly an honor to meet them and to potentially help them as well, if it makes sense. So with that, hope you have a tremendous week here, celebrating Good Friday, celebrating Easter, and we really look forward to our next opportunity to share with you on our webinar in 2 weeks, and also seeing you in person before then. So with that, thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day.